Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Success After Trauma, where we bring in those special guests that have their own unique story of challenges that they've faced, what it was like for them, the aha moment, their healing journey, and then how they're serving and giving back today. Today's special guest is a spiritual coach. Her name is Morgan Rockwell, and I've had the privilege of working with Morgan in the very recent past. Morgan is in a special modality. It's Akashic Records. Akashic Records are very new to me. I'm just learning about them. And I've had several encounters recently in life where Akashic Records have presented themselves to me. And every time I have experiences where something shows up several times, I am very congruent that it's time to go check out why that thing keeps popping up. So as things would be held, Morgan crosses paths with me, and we've done just one session together, and it was absolutely mind-blowing. There's two levels to this. One, the ability of the Akashic Records, and two, the ability of Morgan. Morgan, you have a gift. It was very powerful in what you guided me through in such a quick period of time. Would you share a little bit about yourself, how you got involved in Akashic Records? And for those that are hearing this for the first time, tell us a little bit about what the Akashic Records are.
Yeah, so let's start there. Thanks for that beautiful introduction. I'm so glad you had that experience. For those who don't know, the Akashic Records are an energetic field of infinite possibilities. And we can go into the Akashic Records and you can ask the guardians for guidance or support in any and all areas of your life, because most people understand they're like a big book. Every word, deed, thought, and action since the inception of your soul is recorded there. So it is like the magnificent book on you, right? And you can go in and find information if you're struggling. In the present, you can go back and ask questions about the past, and you can even go forward and look into the future. So they're really this beautiful life tool that can help us get unstuck, can really help us understand different layers of trauma, how to move forward, how to heal from it, maybe possibly why we had to go through the trauma in the first place.
Morgan, do you know, or what do you know around any of the history of the Akashic Records?
So the kind of the spiritual story is that they were created by Metatron, and Metatron is an angel, and he's the only angel who has had a human form. And so he is considered the right hand of source, right hand of God. So he is the connection to the universe, if you will, whatever word you want to put in there. He's almost like the go-between, right? And so he had this idea to really record and help assist our soul's evolution, because when we transform into another energetic state, or we pass on from this physical life, we go back into the form of that energy. And so to keep track of how our soul is evolving and assist us to grow, the records were brought about. I'm sure there is more to the story, but that is as much as I know.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful if you think about it.
Absolutely. And I'm curious, how were you called to this?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I love how you said that, like, when things come up, you feel that congruence, right? And so the records are no different. When they come calling, it's your turn. And I have to say, since I was a little girl, the first time I heard the Akashic Records, it like cemented so many things that had happened to me. I was the kid who would like know the phone was going to ring and who it was going to be, and then bam, it would happen. Or I'd have these dreams and all of a sudden they would come true. And I really didn't know anything about that. I was really little, 5, 6, 7, 8. And later in my teenage years, I heard about the records, and it was like, boom, that's what it is. That's what I've been, a part of. But through my 20s, even with the yoga practice, it just like wasn't the time to be, I'm going to go to school to be an Akashic Records practitioner. My high school guidance counselor didn't tell me that. And so I went to another different field. But I always felt like I kept one foot in. Like I was a traditional medicine practitioner, traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, always in the integrative, always kind of on that left side. Um, but I hit a very tricky spot in my personal life. And it was like, I really wanted somebody to tell me what to do, but I really needed to trust my intuition again. And I was stuck in that place in between. And the record showed up again. And I thought, that's it. That's my answer.
Can you, would you be willing to share a little bit on what was that like when they show, how did they show up for you? What was that like for you? Yeah.
Oh my God, it was a saving grace. I was at that moment in my life where I had like kind of woken up to my life and I thought, how the F did I get here? I had ended up in a foreign country. I had 2 kids with a man who like just was not my life partner. He was not on the same like growth in spiritual evolution that I was, and things just snowballed so fast. And from like a perspective of human body and physicalness, like I think it was just too many changes to integrate in my nervous system and I just zoned out, right? But I didn't know how to unwind all of that. I birthed my kids in a foreign country. You can't just take children from one border to another and have that be, an acceptable form of, action.
Yeah.
Lots of consequences to think through. And I just kept hearing this voice inside of me. I was like, God, but I have a future too. Like, yeah, I made some decisions. I can unmake them. There's an equation where we all can be happy.
100%.
And I came across who is my spiritual mentor now, Amy Robeson, who is a master Akashic Records practitioner. And I just like fell into her courses. And it was like that sweet spot of having a mentor, but these assisting me how to take proper action, aligned action on this calling inside of me. And that's what I love the most about the Akashic Records is they are that sweet spot. They keep you right there. Does that make
Wow.
sense?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's powerful, and I like what you said about, you were looking for that guidance, but at the same time, the ability to trust yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
How There's so many people that are in that very situation. I may have lived a couple chapters like that.
That's the
um,
thing. Haven't we
with
all? Like one of my biggest heartbreaks through the relationship that didn't work out was the fact that I betrayed my intuition along the way. It wasn't anything he did. It wasn't anything about the relationship. It was like I heard the red flag, I heard the warning, and I did nothing about it, or I didn't know what to do about it. And that's all of us, right?
I love to, and I don't know how, and you can share if you'd like how this part may have happened for you, but I love how when we ignore our intuition, this is my belief, when
Mhm.
we ignore our intuition long enough, the universe, God, and I like what you said, whatever that source, there's a higher power that
Mhm.
we can't quantify. And the
Right.
moment that we attempt to quantify it, I think we limit it. So
Yeah.
whatever we would choose to see that power as, our higher power as, there's a moment when we continue to ignore the signs, the omens, the intuition, and eventually the universe, God, or that which is kind of gives us a little like bump. And usually it looks like this catastrophe in life.
It's so true.
But it's just not. It's really catapulting us into something we just didn't have the courage to go through ourselves.
It's
That's my
true.
belief. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think on the other side of that coin is also, our soul signs up for certain lessons. Now, we totally have free will to be like, yeah, I'm not doing that in this lifetime, and that's fine. You may have a rougher life than other people who kind of follow that alignment of that soul. But if you don't, like you say, you're going to kind of bump up against it in a way that's sort of catastrophic. And it sucks. Like, but we've all been there. And I think that connects us together and we can support each other through those catastrophes without judgment and give each other and ourselves some grace that hey, we're having a human experience too.
Well, and I think that again, this is just I'm just projecting some of my beliefs here. I
I love
think
it.
that I suggest that desire is a precursor for change, and most of us can agree with that, I think. And I say with one exception, and that exception is that event taking place.
Yeah.
We don't have to have that event taking place when we listen to our to our intuition and we follow that desire is the precursor for change.
Mhm.
And then when we don't listen to our intuition, I believe again, every time I like to call it defiant joy, when we're in those moments in which we may want to consider a catastrophe or a negative event or something of that nature, the defiant joy is this is that moment for change to take place.
It is, it's absolutely true, and I love that term because, like, we all want to grow, right? And desire is absolutely a catalyst for change, and we're all trying to manifest something at all points in our life, right? We're all doing it. And so the more you're aware by what desires you're putting out there, you can start to work to create it in a different way, a non-catastrophic way. But sometimes those catastrophes are necessary to break down those false foundations we've built things on. And that goes back to either childhood or ancestral trauma or
Mm.
traumatic events we've had in our life up until then that maybe we're not aware of are driving us, because those drivers can actually sabotage us. Even though we think, hey, we want what's over here, there's a part of us that hasn't been healed or needs some love or some assistance or just needs to be heard and seen, and we don't give it to that. And that's part of that intuition speaking up, saying, hey, check this part over here. You're not going to go forward until you care for this mess that you're not able or willing to look at.
That's so powerful. I'm going to take an opportunity to highlight what you're sharing in an experience I had through our session.
Great.
And one of the cool parts for everyone that's listening, one of the really cool parts about the experience that I had with Morgan specifically was I'm not going to share in detail what the experience was, and I didn't share in detail with Morgan. And
Great. No,
so
and you don't have to.
I was able to go ahead. Yeah, tell us. Go ahead, Morgan.
No, no, continue. Yeah, that's the beauty of the Akash. Yeah.
That was really cool that I didn't have to relive it in any form of stressful or negative environment. And with that being said, a realization that I had by submitting to the experience and allowing Morgan to guide me, which exceptional gift you have. I had a realization that as a child, there was events that took place in which I was not believed.
Mhm.
And so then there was an unconscious belief that people don't believe me.
Powerful.
And Morgan was able to guide me through a process of validating my inner child, my younger self. And that
Mhm.
validation then carries through to today. I wanted to highlight on that, on what you're talking about. We face these blocks sometimes and we don't know why. And we do have discipline. We do have to be conscious of our behavior. We do have to be cognizant of our thoughts. But there is past traumas that we're unconsciously aware of. I had no clue what was going to happen that day. I had no clue what I'd be guided to. And when I was guided there and I got done, I mean, I literally, I teared up a little bit in the experience being guided to that place.
That's
Um,
so beautiful. And I love that you shared that aspect, because the Akashic Records, your guardians will never, ever, ever judge you. And it is their job to hold sacred space around you in a place that you feel so extremely safe that you can look at this, because they want you to heal and they want you to feel better. And even me as the practitioner, I'm not allowed to see everything. Sometimes I see things that you may not, or hear things that I can't share with other people. But it's all in the faith that the guardians are doing what they meet you where you're at and what you're ready to do and where you're able to go with it. And I love that you had that experience, because it is so experiential for everyone who does it. I never know where they're going to go. People can say, hey, I want to work on XYZ. And we get in there and it's like way in left field. But you know what? We always find the through line. Sometimes I'm like, God, where are you guys taking me? And I just have to go on the ride. You know what I mean? You have to have that faith and that trust that they're guiding it. And my gifts, I have to have faith and trust in my gifts that we can get there in the end. And we always do.
Always, always.
Yeah.
I believe that, and again, this is just my beliefs and projecting. I believe that our unconscious mind, which is the things that we're unconscious of course, is highly symbolic,
Oh,
and
God, it is.
it does that. I believe as a protection mechanism for us. So there's
Totally.
things There's things that it's hiding, that it's keeping in the unconscious to keep us safe. And then there's opportunities to heal those things that it keeps hidden. But
Hmm.
because it has to keep it hidden from us, it can't present it in its true form.
It's absolutely true. I have the perfect example of that if you'd like to hear it.
Please.
So Monday, I was like, wow, something's super wrong. And I ended up going to the hospital. And mind you, I have a background in integrative medicine, right? For 10 years, I had a clinic. And I was like, God, I'm having an appendicitis. I need to go to the hospital. And I was like, God, what is happening? I keep this, health, and I'm always concerned about my physical body, taking care of myself and this and that. And in the end of the day, I was there for like 6 hours, and through all the blood labs, nothing showed any sign of inflammation or infection, yet the ultrasound was positive for inflammation. So I thought, all right, I need to look at this from like a very spiritual point of view. And so I went in and did some healings on myself. And what was revealed had absolutely nothing to do with my physical body and or the appendix. But what was revealed to me is my whole notion that I built like 15 years of my life on needed to be revamped. What a mind body soul connection looked like. And it was
Mm,
absolutely mind blowing the way that it came about to me. And I thought, wow, I have to up level that in order to up level other aspects of my life. Like what I was doing with my physical body no longer is serving for where I'm at in my life now. Even though I was paying, like on paper, it looked perfect. And so it
yeah.
does. It comes out in ways we do not know. And so you have to get really curious. And that's a hard place to be when something's scary or you're in pain or you're terrified. Like trauma can stay very much alive for you, and it can become this monster in the closet. That's why I love going into the records, because it kind of like clears the noise so you
Mhm.
can get curious and look under there and have some support with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love how you said you said it can be scary. You may not have used that word. I'm using that word.
Mhm.
You know, it's funny. I was talking to my wife just yesterday. I made a post in which we talked about the tree. I did some
Yeah, yeah.
meditating, praying under a tree in my backyard, and it was first time using that tree, and it was a cool experience. I had shared with my wife that my intent before I begun that meditation was to um, I wanted to see like what's the next thing that I have to deal with, or the current
Mhm.
thing that I have to deal with.
Great.
And that was my intent. And I was like, cool, first was like excitement, like we're about to grow. And then
Yeah.
like, yeah. And then like right before, like as I was walking out and walking up to the tree, like this feeling of like, shit, like I'm gonna get told about something that I don't actually think is a problem.
Yeah, it's true.
Because if I knew it, I wouldn't be asking for the awareness of it.
Oh, right?
So of course I don't know it, and those things that we don't know, like we like to think that what we're doing is the right thing. But
Totally. That's how I love to befriend my ego. Like I ask her to participate all the time as a curious student. Otherwise, because the ego's job is to keep us safe, right? They're going to jump in and be like, yeah, I already know that. I got that check. Like I've got 15 years of education on this, or whatever the story is. But you have to set them aside and let them be just an observer. So what is really wanting to come up can come up, and you can look at it.
I love that you said that. I heard one time, I heard it said by a speaker one time. I heard it called Mick. Now I like yours better. Mick is my inner cynic. And I like yours better. But what I somewhere along the lines adopted was that our ego or inner cynic, or call it whatever you will, it is there to protect us.
Hmm.
So there's opportunities where I would like to trust myself,
Hmm.
but that cognitive faculty, that inner cynic, that ego's saying no, this won't work, don't believe that, whatever the case may be. And in those moments, I think it's important to, I do my best to not, or let me say what I do. I do my best to love myself. And so
Yeah.
what I mean is I thank myself for that guidance. And then I say, thank you for keeping me safe. Thank you for showing up every time. Please continue to show up just the way you are. For right now, I'm going to go ahead and trust myself.
I love it. And you said the magic words that you are safe. The more you can remind yourself that you're safe, that ego will cool down. We can go down the rabbit hole a little bit further because we all can create personas to keep us safe as well. So it's really, really like you got to stop and check in, like who's driving this? And it could look like, hey, I'm just a stressed out single mom, and that could be my distraction from really unfolding my life. Or it could be that, you know what? I'm just a busybody. I'm a type A, whatever. We get really attached to these personas and they kept us safe for a time being, but they don't serve us. So you got to really like check in and say like, who's speaking, we got a full house here. Like,
Yes, yes, that is so powerful. I love that. I'm actually gonna I I love what you said. There's a lot that I'm gonna take away from that. Like I tell people like we're so much more than anything we're doing. But
yeah.
I loved how you talked about the personas keep us safe, and then is that us or is that the persona?
Yeah. And so I've been working a lot with like personas because when you can really like take off their mask and see their true essence, there's always like in that experience you had, there's something underneath that really wants to be seen or heard. And when you can embody that true essence, you get to move forward more wholly, more completely, more authentically, less traumatized. Your nervous system is happier. It's a good, good deal.
Beautiful. I love this. I love this.
Yeah.
This is incredible energy, and I know it is for everyone listening. And for everyone, if you're listening to the audio, you can check out the video. We're on YouTube. The channel is Success After Trauma. And if you're checking us out on YouTube, you can check out the audio and download us on any of your favorite podcast streaming platforms. Morgan, I am curious now. It sounds like I'm gonna make some projections and then you clean it up for us. You
Great.
tell us what it is for
That
real.
works. I love it.
Okay, so you've had gifts. I'm gonna suggest that you brought into this 3D world with you. So your spirit brought gifts with you. There was a period of time where you weren't aware of your gifts. Something takes place in life, and you're really called to the Akashic Records. You go through. It sounds like you probably go through your own healing journey, which I'm sure we're all still on. It just goes on forever. Tell me about take me to the chapter, the realization. Where did you step into your power, realize your gifts, and then say, oh crap, I need to serve others? What did that look like?
Sure. It's funny because they've paralleled each other. And so I've always known I've had gifts, but it's like the ego. It didn't feel safe for me to have them or to use them. So I would switch them off. And this is very typical of a lot of people that have really intuitive gifts. We all have them. We just are further from practiced or connected to them. But I always felt the call to service. And that hence why I went into medicine and serving patients and assisting others in that way. So they were kind of paralleling, but it came to the point where I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm just divided in half. And I was like spiritually in the closet and I was trying to be in service in this other way. And it just wasn't working. I wasn't feeling aligned. I wasn't feeling congruent. And then it was time for me to take back my power and stand in my own power as a soul, as a person, and be sovereign through this last divorce. This divorce was very tricky. This last, episode of trauma in my life, so to speak. I thought, you know what, enough. I get the rest of my life and I get to choose to create it how I desire. And I want to show my boys that they are able to do the same as well.
Mm.
And the more that I can be a powerful role model of being, in my feminine energy with the balanced masculine and in my gifts, the less shutting off and disconnecting from their own desires they're going to have. It's the hope anyway. We can only set that intention, and whatever happens for them is their own journey. But and it really, once I kind of got into that, over that fear of kind of coming out and using my gifts, then it was just straight into service. I just knew it, and connecting with people. I can see so clearly. It opens my gifts more. I know that I can help people in a way that they really, really need. And it feels amazing to be able to do that.
That's awesome. So once you had that realization and that alignment, I guess I'm trying to think of my words here. What do I want to say? When did you where was your aha moment, or maybe you already said it and I wasn't clear on it, and forgive me. Where was your aha moment that like I need to serve other people?
I think when I was really able to be comfortable and claiming my gifts like publicly, I knew that I had to use them to serve other people. Like service wasn't separate from my gifts any longer. They really
Got it.
became aligned. So like I had a fertility specialist for a long time. And so I was trying to kind of work still in fertility and all this. And I thought, you know what? It's time to let that go. And it's time to just go full on healer and full into my gifts, and assist people from this perspective.
Can you tell us? Okay, beautiful, beautiful. I want to talk a little bit about this chapter.
Yeah.
I spoke to a gentleman the other day at this spiritual event that I was at, spiritual
Mhm.
weekend.
Cool.
And he was like, "Hey, what do you do? You know, what do you do?" The usual
I
conversation when you
know,
first
right?
meet. And so I tell him a little about the academy and helping people heal and such. And he said he came from Canada, and we were in Nashville, Tennessee, in America. And he said, "Man, a lot of people in Nashville. I guess he had a few friends in Nashville, or I say a few, I don't know how many." And he says, "Man, it seems like everyone in Nashville's doing something with healing, motivational coaching, something something." And I said, "Well, I think I said I think more than Nashville. I said I think the world is seeing a lot of the healers show up, but I believe we're seeing a lot of healers show up in this chapter of the world because let's look back 2 chapters ago to what happened to the world.
Yeah.
So the world got hit, if you will. This is my paraphrase and my projections. The world got hit with dark.
Yeah.
So the counterbalance is the light to come through. I say all of that to dive back into your chapter. There's a lot of people that are right there on the fence. They have extremely powerful gifts
Hmm.
and they're afraid to step into their power. Can you
Yeah.
tell them a little bit about your journey, and then can you share whatever you're called to share with them to help them realize their gifts and what they need to do and stepping in their power as a
Yeah.
healer?
And this is where finding a really powerful mentor or healer to work with is crucial because it's often about peeling back those layers closest to the heart. And they're pretty thin. They're not the big trauma pieces that they've been working through most of their life. It's usually just a very thin veil that I see that will allow them to step fully into their power. Doesn't mean that they aren't big pieces as well. They are thin, but it can be often in places we haven't looked. A lot of people won't step in based on something that happened in the ancestral line. The Akashic records are pretty well known for past lives. There is a lot to be said of what happened to a past life that's showing up here. Why they might not want to step into a healer. Those type of things like resonate with people at a cellular level. So they might just have this really, I don't know why I'm terrified or paralyzed to do this, but I just am. And so working with a mentor to help you uncover why that's going on and to assist you and show you, walk you into your gifts essentially,
Mm.
is really, really what it takes to step over the line.
So you had that for yourself. Is that something that you provide? Do you help people? Do you help guide
Yeah.
them? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And so like a lot of people want to, you know, heal and do all of this thing, but at the end of the day, they want to heal. They want to heal a broken heart. So why? Why? They can step back into their full power. And the more that we are healed, the more we are aligned, the more that trauma is cleaned out, um, our gifts can come in. We have space for them to come in.
So as you can you talk a little bit about as you working with your mentor, so you went through
Hmm.
that chapter on your own, however
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
looked for you. As you begun to, can you tell us some of the changes your internal, be it emotional, be it mental, and even external, as you begun to work with your mentor, your guide, your coach to peel off those and I really like how you called them those thin layers.
Yeah.
We all have our big things, and those are like maybe infinite healing, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
But then, like you said, like those pieces, like we have work on, and if you haven't begun that work, that's a mission, right? It's a
Mhm.
lifelong journey. But there's that, like there's a few little things that are probably just holding us back from just really stepping into it. I like how you worded that. As that evolution, as that evolution took place, as you said, hey, I'm going for it to become a healer. Can you tell us a little bit about that, the emotional shift, the mental shift, and even the external shift? Like, what changes did you see in your external world? What was that shift like?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So I often was told that the Akashic Records could assist in folding time, and I didn't really know what that meant until I got into working with it, because it assists us in going straight to what it is we want to heal. So we're not like guessing, we're not like, going 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, as often we hear around healing. And so I noticed that I was just much more clear. I was trusting my intuition. I didn't have to explain it. It
Mm-hmm.
was enough to me to say, instead of making up a big excuse or going into people pleasing, be like, you know what, I'm sorry, it's just not in alignment for me, which was like freaking huge for me,
I
right? Like
love
that
that.
thing. Yeah. And so then I started to see different things happening in the physical world as well. Like I was able to get separated. I found my house in a moment of absolute chaos. I live in Porto, Portugal, which is one of the most rapid growing cities in the world. And I was like, how am I going to find a house as a foreigner? You know what I mean? And the perfect house showed up, and it's walking distance from the kids' school because I hadn't got a car yet. Like all the pieces weren't there, but it was like they just fell into place. And I just kept trusting my intuition. I kept trusting that I was on the right path and my guides were guiding me. And it really just cemented and cultivated that relationship I had spiritually with myself and the Akashic Records deeper and deeper.
I love it. I love it. And the more I use the term a lot, step into your power. They're
Yeah.
labels, they're words. But the more you go through that journey, how powerful is it? How cool is that? And for those of you who've been through it, and make sure you're serving those one chapter behind. For those of you that are wondering, like, what are they talking about? I want that. Like,
Yeah.
as you allow yourself to go on that journey, the more you step into that power and you start having these realizations, the more you realize, oh, I can create.
Yeah. Yeah. And, we've talked about layers, and you hear healing is like an onion, right? Peeling back, peeling back. Well, I like to talk about it like a spiral staircase, right? And we have those big things, but when we're so into the trauma, like we're at the bottom rung, we're clinging to life, we're not going anywhere. But the more we trust and we can move around, yeah, you're going to bump into things from your past. And you're like, God, I thought I've been here before and I've just done this and this. But as you gain that momentum, that fear is smaller and we're able to step over it faster and easier, so we can go up and things. We are still working, we're still evolving. Of course, I still have things that I'm healing. Stuff comes up all the time that I'm like, ooh, a heart isn't broken and just mended. We continue to do that, but it's easier, I'm going to put in quotes, easier for me to get through the process because I don't have to spend checking all of that fear. I know how to get myself feeling safe. Like you said, you know how to put your ego where it belongs, thank it, tell yourself you're safe, and you can move through it in a much more expedited fashion.
That's powerful. I like you said earlier, I wrote down the words, and I'm not sure if I'm quoting you, so because I could be off a little bit. I wrote them down after you said it.
All good.
That you can choose to create. You
Mhm.
can choose to create it how you desire, which it being was in the reference of life. I think it's powerful. And can you talk about how um, the way that I share it with people, the way that I share this message, but I want to hear how you'll share it is, um, if we're willing to be, I say, we have immense control over the outcome when we submit to the experience.
Mhm.
And so what I mean by that is the experience, whatever we're experiencing, already is. And so if
Mhm.
you're willing to submit to what is at all times, while being willing to own responsibility for what will become, I believe we have a lot of control and power in our life. And what I mean is that whatever it is we want, and you alluded to this a couple times, and that's why I really wanted to touch on it. There was times where you said, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then you said, but I knew there had to be an equation where everyone was able to win.
Mhm.
We have to believe that there's a potential possibility. There's a combination of realities, and one of them we can win, and everyone can win. Once we're willing to believe that, then I for me, I like to think to myself, what could I do that the byproduct, the ripples of that would have to put the future into this place?
Yeah.
And it allows us, what allows me, what allows me expansion of the mind. It allows me control of my future. I'd love to hear your words on this,
Yeah, I
how
love
that
it. So
plays out in your life. Good.
yeah, you're like talking about two spiritual laws kind of put together. So it's the law of detachment and a law of reverse effort. And I love it. So when you want to manifest anything, you get real clear, really specific. You can throw out those details and things, but then you have to let it go about how it shows up. You have to be willing to say, you know what, I will take any aligned action that comes my way, but you can do this better than I can. You give that up and you detach it for that universe to fill in those details, and it will provide those steps. And also that surrendering is the law of reverse effort, that you're not forcing it. You're not trying to make it work. You're thinking about those things. Okay, how can I set it up to that, this equation and all of these things. But at the end of the day, you're also not taking an action step every single second, forcing it. You're allowing it to show up. One of my favorite examples, I talk about it a lot. When I was going through my divorce, I wanted to go home to the US. It was just my home. That's what I wanted. In a moment of pain, more than thinking clearly, because obviously the boy's father is here. I wouldn't want to separate him from that. But it was decided by Portuguese law that I could not leave. And the moment that court order was handed down to me, like two things happened simultaneously. Like I shattered into a million pieces, and my guide showed me this picture of this really, I mean, I could see it clearly today still, this beautiful life, this full life. It was like my dream life that I had created here. Now I still don't have all those bits and pieces, and I'm not like knocking on their doors being like, hey, where's every single detail? Because I know it's there. And so they showed me in that moment, even though it was really painful and I was suffering and I was broken into a million pieces, that it was going to work. And so I have to have faith and trust. And a lot of things have come together and unfolded. And so as I'm continuing to check in and set my intentions and my desires, and these are things we can do often. Like people think that there's a magic, hey, let's do it at the beginning of the year. No, you can do it every 3 weeks, every 30 days, every 3 days, whatever feels right for you, to see where are you at, what do you want more of, what do you want less of, what can you tweak, because it's just constantly giving that right and perfect frequency for the universe. And the more that you can do that, the more those things will come back to you without you having to go out and take action. It's not like action equals what I want. There is a lot of let go. I hope that answers what you are asking in a way.
Most certainly, most certainly,
Right.
most certainly. Well, and yes, I wanted everyone listening to hear that through those two different perspective points,
Mhm.
and just the realization that we can we can have
Yeah.
beautiful lives.
And we can, and it doesn't matter how you sum it up. It's the process that embodies for you at however it feels right and true for you, because that's the end of the day, you're the creator of your life. So don't get caught up in the process and the details. Just set yourself in a place that is aligned for you.
And I love, you spoke about frequencies, alignment,
Mhm.
I, the realization, the awareness of, we don't need to, but also I'm gonna even make a suggestion. I'm gonna make a projection. We can't create abundance. So it simply exists.
Mhm.
And then if we would like to participating in it, we will just align in frequencies of it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
much easier said than done. I mean, like,
Fair, fair.
but and so I say that because people think abundance is in terms of money, but if you look at it like from a coaching wheel perspective, we have all of these areas of fulfillment, right? So like say we're all at like ones and threes in most areas, but we've got, you know what I mean? Like you can't create abundance if you're really lacking in certain areas. So you have to stop and look at what's going on. And I'm raising my hand to having some of those areas in ones and threes going, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's take a look at why this is happening. How can I support myself to be more fulfilled in these certain areas? And it could be simple things. It's not like I need to revamp my whole life. You know, sometimes making one new friend can shift everything, or, you know, finding a new coffee shop or something that has people that are like aligned to you, like, ooh, a new community member, this is great, can really shift how you feel about other areas of fulfillment. And so that's why I continue to tell people, go back and check in, do some healings, do some work and see, and you continue to raise that frequency of abundance through all areas. Overall abundance is going to show up. But I agree with you. You can't create it.
I,
It just exists.
it just exists, and I love, you know, if for those listening, if you do the things and you keep meeting, like, if you continue to have self-sabotage, success, suicide, if you keep continue meeting that place,
Mhm.
you probably want to get with a coach similar to Morgan. You go clear something. There's something unconscious,
Yeah.
outside of those unconscious blocks that we have. How you talked about how easy it is just getting in frequency of it. Like when we think like in terms of people, abundance a lot of times gets translated to money. In terms of money, realize you have enough money.
Yeah,
By
totally.
simply
Even
realizing you have enough money, you're in
Mhm.
frequency of abundance and you can continue to attract. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Even if you don't have enough money, but be grateful for the money you do have. Like, you know what I mean? Be grateful that your bills are coming in and you're like, wow, thank you for what you provided me with, this energy, this whatever. And it's a bit of a game at moments in our lives, but then that frequency does show up and it does flow, and it is a lot easier to stay in that frequency.
Well, and even realizing, like, when we say, like, well, even if we don't have enough money, which again, you said it's a bit of a game. It's, you know, it's
Yeah.
a whole deep conversation. But even if someone were a listener saying, but no, Greg, I don't have enough money, I would say you've placed the value on that. I'm going to
Yeah.
suggest you have more than
Totally.
enough right now in this very
Mhm.
moment. And
Yeah.
whatever else you desire to create, you can allow the energy to come to you to create it. So you're not
Mhm.
short the money, you're short the frequency of allowing the energy to flow to you.
Yeah, and I love how you talked about that sabotage suicide cycle. So it might be a pattern. It could be a familial mudding pattern. It could be a pattern you've created. It also could be an aspect of your being. So more than the ego, we have 6 aspects of us. And often, I mean, that's a game, that's a team, right? Like
Yeah,
if
yeah.
one of those team members is not on board, you could be like so excited about your new job and your promotion and you've got this great new relationship. If one aspect of you is not happy, they could absolutely sabotage all of that until you pay some mind to them. So the
Wow.
aspects I'm talking about, there's the inner child, there's the ego, there's your spiritual being, your physical body, your mental body, and your emotional body. So often of us, we try and think our way through everything, right? And that's very
Mhm.
exhausting for our mental aspect. And yet, how things really function, we're all talking about frequencies and flow over here. So that's not really jiving for the mental body, right? You can see how that could be very difficult for an aspect of us that needs to think our way through everything, rather than the more spiritual side of us that can tune into these frequencies and be. So the more you understand about all of these various aspects, making sure everyone's on board, and it's a simple process of giving everybody in. It's just a really broken down version of that mind, body, soul connection to make sure you can move forward without sabotaging yourself.
Wow. That is powerful. Now, let me ask you this. If people wanted to, so correct me if I'm wrong, or give us, if you would just give us
Yeah.
a quick recap. It sounds like you can help people clear uh, um, traumas, negative blockages
Mhm.
that are existing at the unconscious, be it from childhood or all the way back to past lives.
Yep.
And it sounds like you are able to help those that are those that are called to being a healer, but
Yeah.
haven't stepped in their power yet, which kind of goes in hand with. And then correct me if I'm wrong. Is this something that you do with people, helping people just get in alignment with abundance in their life? Maybe they're not clearing trauma; they're just getting in
Yeah.
alignment with abundance.
Yeah, a lot of people want to get in line with abundance. For me, a lot of people want to find their soulmate, right? Like, where's my soulmate? And so, you can take them to an area, the Akashic Records, after a healing, and you can connect them with the energy of their soul person. We have more than one soulmate, but if wherever they're aligned at in the moment with what their soul wants to evolve, you can do things like that as well. You can take people to meet their empowered future self, which is super powerful because your future self has accomplished all those things that you want.
That's
So
all the
having that
answers.
conversation is such a gold mine, because you can get all of those answers and steps along the way, and that he or she often will reveal what you need to heal. And it might not be something you're really ready to look at, but given that from your future self, you can't really like deny it, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's you, it's you. I
Yeah.
love it. So for those that are listening in, that are just there's the group of people that are like, oh my gosh, I need to work with her. How do they reach? What's the best way for people to reach out to you, to schedule a session, just to connect with you?
Yeah, so I have a lot of my stuff is on Facebook. I'm always running free master classes and different things that I'm running free healings. So it's Morgan Rockwell 111 on Facebook. My website, half of it defaulted to its like, what do you call that? Like the standard whatever. So I lost a lot of my print, but it's morganrockwell.com. It will be updated back to its completion very, very soon. But that's where they can book sessions and look at all my packages. There's some self-study things. I run sales and promotions all the time, so people can experience the power of the Akashic Records.
Super cool. And that was morganrockwell.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And for those of you that are listening to just the audio right now, Morgan Rockwell is Morganrockwell. So it's spelled phonetically just how it sounds. And you can check us out on YouTube, the channel is Success After Trauma. We'll have that link posted there. Or if you go into any of the podcast streaming platforms, we're going to have Morgan's link posted there, so you can connect with Morgan. If you were called, if something pulled on you during this conversation, there's a reason why you felt that way. Reach out to Morgan. I've had a personal experience with her. I am I'm very protective of giving out referrals and recommendations. There's a lot of people that just say, "Oh yes, go over there, go over there." Maybe they haven't worked with them, they don't know. I had an incredible experience. Morgan has a very, very powerful gift. If what you heard today, you felt some type of pull, there's a reason you felt that kind of way. Please reach out. Morgan, before we get out of here, I'm going to close this up here in just a moment. Could you give could you give a last, like a last thought to, normally I ask my guests, I say, hey, if for this person listening, what would you say to them? Normally that's how I say it. But for you, and because of the gifts you have, Morgan, what I'm going to ask you is, would you share final thoughts with, would you channel final thoughts with whoever it is supposed to hear whatever you're about to share?
Yeah, and what I'm hearing is that um, they really want. We all have a heart's inner desire, and please, please don't discount that, because you have the opportunity to have whatever is in your heart manifest in this reality, and you can live it. You have the capability and the power to manifest it and live it and love it. You're worth it. And they say, we love you.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much, Morgan. And for everyone listening, until the next episode, be great. It's already in you.